Everybody I've spoken to loves the idea of the United States owning that piece of land, developing and creating thousands of jobs with something that will be magnificent in a really magnificent area that no.
We can speak to Betul Dogan Akkas, an assistant professor of Middle East Studies at Ankara University, and joining us now from the Turkish capital. Thank you so much indeed, Betul, for your time. Is American policy now, following that Trump statement, is it basically approving the destruction of Palestine and Palestinian society?
Unfortunately, yes, and not only for the ones in Gaza or in the West Bank, but also the overall the diaspora community in the US, because as we will remember from the election process, the narrative of the Arab diaspora in US was like, Trump is not the one who bumped the the land in Palestine at the moment. At the moment, he had sort of, not the whole Arab population, but sort of a partial support from the diaspora during the election. He kind of portrayed himself and his election process as an alternative to overall narrative that US has been going through since the 7th of October. Now, with his overall plan that he has mentioned in his comments, it's bringing a further delegitimization of US role in the Middle East, not only in Palestine, but also in the Middle East, because he brings up other states out of a sudden in his narrative without even consulting with them or talking with them in a diplomatic way. Let's say he mentioned about Egypt, he mentioned about Jordan, Saudi Arabia. Did he really talk to them on this plan, on this proposal? So the bomb that he is now throwing to the ceasefire or the Middle East politics is not only about US delegitimizing itself as a state intervening the Middle East affairs, but also the overall quite unsettled Middle East politics. So he says in his comments, there are countries with money and they could invest in other places for Palestinians to live in. I mean, what sort of presidential narrative can mention a will of another political power, which is completely independent in another region of the world, as if he is also ruling this state? So his comments are not only kind of distracting the current ceasefire in Palestine, but also the overall understanding of diaspora community for the future of US politics in Middle East, or the already going on Middle East politics by the involvement of several actors. There is no way that we can actually understand the purpose of his comments.
That's really interesting, Betul. Are you saying that over those 15 months of Israeli attacks against the Palestinians, mostly in Gaza, Joe Biden was president? And during that time, there was a lot of criticism of a lack of collective action from the Arab world. Are you saying that this statement may have tipped that balance, that the Arab world will be able to coalesce better than it was during the conflict because of this idea that Trump has about displacing and forcibly displacing Palestinians?
The way he talks, he mentions about Egypt or Saudi Arabia as if he has settled this plan with them, or as if these Arab lands, these Arab states are not comfortable with two-state solution. What we have seen since the 7th of October, we have seen institutional responses from the Arab states, the foreign ministers, their positions in the UN, Arab League, the Gulf Cooperation Council. They did institutional contribution or sort of interventions somehow to encourage the ceasefire. We don't see a perfectly managed process from the Arab world, as you mentioned. It wasn't a very good or comprehensive collective action, yet Jordan, Egypt, and Qatar somehow cooperated with the international actors, and then we had Qatar as the leading power. There is definitely a problem in the Arab world when it comes to bringing a peace, a comprehensive peace to Palestine. But this doesn't mean that none of these states actually left the two-state solution, and right away, you mentioned about the Saudi intervention. They said they are still following the two-state solution, and if there is a two-state solution, if there is a Palestinian state, then they will be talking to Israelis. United Arab Emirates, they have the solid relations with Israeli political elites at the moment, but they also call for a peaceful solution in Palestine. None of those leaders from Arab world, they never said we should force these Palestinian communities in Gaza to another place in the world and then bring some development or sustainable economic goals, as Trump mentioned, to Gaza. Those people, they didn't bomb this city. Gaza is bombed from outside of Gaza. It is completely demolished by Israeli army, and now the reason why they live in this rubble is not themselves. It's the outside of the world. It's the Israeli military. It's the U.S. military. So that's why who supports Israel? They have a hand in the destruction of Gaza. Then why those people have to left their homes? If Trump is really eager to bring peace, development, and economic projects, as he mentioned in his narrative, he can do it now once we have Gazans settled in Gaza. They could be the employment, as he mentioned in his narrative, to bring further development or a perfect coastline to the Middle East. Why he has to force these people to move from Palestine, from Gaza, to settle a proper city? So there is no way we can understand his comment in a rational way, either as a policymaker or as a scholar or as any person who is watching the war since the 7th of October.
Yeah, well, when he gets a list of the international reaction, Betul, he's going to understand exactly what his words and the impact they've had. We've just seen that Spain has reacted. Brazil has also reacted. We've given the French reaction. The German government has reacted. Thank you so much indeed for your time, Betul.
Thank you.